Hey, welcome to Table Talk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D banter between a couple of buddies in their bedrooms. If you like their style, make sure you head on over to patreon.com/tabletalkfriday and hand them $5. There's a lot of extra content over there. Anyways, back to the boys. It is a very huge week for me and the boys. Welcome to Table Talk Friday. My name is Seth Reed, and I had to do a solo episode today because yesterday, Drew and I had a lot of stuff. We were planning on recording yesterday in the evening, and then I had a whole bunch of stuff come up personally and was like, well, we're not going to be able to record. So here we are on Friday just trying to get an episode out for you guys. And tonight is the long-awaited start of our group's next campaign. And so as our resident forever DM, who hasn't done a campaign in a couple years now, I just wanted to kind of go through my thoughts on everything and at least let you guys know my methods for like how I go about planning, a brand new campaign. So a little bit of background, if you haven't been listening to the show for a long time, or even if you have, we have run numerous campaigns, including modules. So whenever we were in college, I ran an 11 session, just quick little homebrewed campaign in a world that I really enjoyed being a part of. And I spent some time in my classes and stuff, not doing work and writing up just, some fun lore and stuff for a new setting. It was awesome, but I did not want to spend all the time fleshing out everything. And so what I decided was that the following semester, after I got I dipped my toe into DMing, I was like, man, I really like this whole DMing thing that I've been doing. I decided I was going to run Storm King's Thunder because I looked through tier lists and stuff of all the modules. My buddy Zach, who has been on the show many a time, he's one of the founders of the show. He wanted to run Curse of Strahd really bad, which is the number one rated module in most people's eyes. So I was like, okay, I'll do a number 5 or 6 rated module. I'm going to run Storm King's Thunder and really make it my own. And so I read through everything for Storm King's Thunder. I it was the summer before when I bought the book, and I was working at an amusement park as a sound engineer. And in between every single show, which we had about 30 minutes between each show that we did, I was just reading the Storm King's Thunder module. I was like, I want to know all of these cities. I want to know all the people in the cities. So that way, if the players say we want to go here, we can get there and I can run it competently. I got comfortable with using tables in order to randomize names and making up shops and stuff before each session. If they were going to a new city, I would list out 5 to 10 different places that were on there, but didn't have really any details. I would make the details up in the moment. It would be one of their favorite NPCs, her name was Grandide, and she talked like this, or something like that. I don't know. It's been a long time since I ran her. But I had no plan for that shop. I just called it Grandine's Magical Marvels and Curios or something like that. And then they walked in. I started speaking in that voice without really expecting it. And then Sean stepped up, started arguing with Grandine, the owner of the shop. And they had a heated rivalry. This old lady and this little Kenku bird speaking in her voice back to her. It was so much fun. It was awesome. And that's why I think you hear me talk a lot on the show about that lazy DM style of you know what? I'm going to make notes of things that taking decisions out of my head I don't need to make during the session. But then when it comes to describing the place, coming up with magic items and stuff that they'll find in there, it's kind of fun to just come up with it. And then if you need to, find a good match. So there's been many times when I forgot about treasure. I'm notorious for forgetting about treasure. I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to design this really cool combat encounter. And I just forget to add any kind of treasure reward at the end. And then I think about it right after they defeat them. And I'm like, oh shoot, what would this big bad have had on them? And so during the Spelljammer campaign, I had him wielding dual buster swords, which I thought was so cool. And in the moment, I was like, I gotta find something to match this. And I found these cool, homebrew void buster sword type deals. And then I ended up basing the rest of the magic that all of the Astro Elves were using off of this void energy. And it was so cool. It was so fun. And it ended up becoming something in the moment that I came up with that resonated throughout, it echoed throughout the entire rest of the campaign. So with this one, the one that's coming up tonight, Campaign 3 is what we're calling it, but I'm calling it The Day the Gods Went Silent. I am basing this fully upon my own, like it's still in the Forgotten Realms, but I have written the story myself. I am using the theming of Rime of the Frost Maiden, as in they're starting in a storm that started about a month ago. I think it's longer in the book. It's like a year they've been in this storm. Don't ask me why no adventurers would do anything within that year. I don't know why it's been going on for that long in there, or maybe Icewind Dale's just really good at surviving for that long of a time. But I'm basing it on it's been one single month, and Icewind Dale is starting to like slowly run out of things because it's so unbearable out there that everybody has made their way into Bryn Shander and people are starting to starve off and die. Adventurers have gone into the storm, but they have not returned. And now they're out of like strong adventurers to go out there and solve it. So now they have to ask people who are like criminals. So what my plan is we have one single character who has wandered into town today. So, or maybe a few days before. So a few days prior, this character wandered into town. And everybody's like, whoa, who the heck are you? It's been a month since anybody has come into this town, a month since anything has arrived to us, and you have just walked in. He doesn't really have an answer for them, and so he gets arrested. Just like, okay, we don't know who you are, where you're coming from, we are going to question you. And so we're going to be beginning the campaign with a trial of one of the player's characters who has come from outside a month after people have started starving in town. So that's where we're picking up. Everybody has made amazing characters and giving me so much backstory to work with. Like, I'm so grateful that I have the players that I do. And coming up tonight, we're going to be doing a lot of roleplay, a lot of introducing the characters for the first time. And I have a little surprise for the players available. So I'll tell you guys, because I don't think any of them will hear the episode until after the session anyways. So back in the day, when we were doing Storm King's Thunder, it's right before they had some, I think it was Mordenkainen's or something like that came out, that the monster manual for him, that came out, and it had some variants of giants, and one of them was the Frost Giant Everlasting one. Mind you, my players are starting at level 1, and this is like I don't know if it's a CR9, CR12, whatever it is. My plan is they're going to be in town, and this is kind of an echo from their past campaign, where they previously, when they came to Bryn Shander and Storm King's Thunder, had to fight off some frost giants. I am going to repeat this encounter. There are going to be civilians that they are taking control of, and then there's going to be all of my players, and they're going to be level 1 and a frost giant, probably one that's very akin to an everlasting one, but with like half the health, is going to wander into town. Now, this frost giant is tired, beaten up, and the only thing it can think about at the moment is a message from, I forgot the frost giant god's name, but a message from that god saying, like to deliver a message to the leader of Bryn Shander that she has been slain. So, and then they don't know who she is, they just know she has been slain or something like that. I haven't really finished getting that done in my head. And they're going to think, why the heck is Seth throwing a Frost Giant Everlasting one at us at level 1? And not until like round 2 will they realize that this thing won't actually be able to attack. It'll only be, I guess it will attack a couple of people, and if a player gets like close, he'll probably like grab them and throw them or something like that. But it's not an imminent danger, but they won't know that. They're going to think there is a Frost Giant attacking town. They're going to kill it. It'll probably say something cryptic when it dies. And that's whenever they'll have the chance to meet up, introduce their characters, go around town, collecting gear and everything, and setting off on their adventure. I plan for this to take probably 4 hours. If they are going very slow, since it's Friday night, 5 hours maybe. So I plan for it to be a very long session, and I'm looking forward to it. But if you can't tell from the way I talk about D&D, I do a lot of just improv in the moment. I do a lot of creative thinking on the fly, and if a character brings a suggestion to me, or a player brings a suggestion, I am so down to make that suggestion happen unless it's unreasonable. So, like, Drew is using a subclass from Tome of Heroes, and it was kind of underpowered and not that flavorful, but it's a cleric subclass from Tome of Heroes, and so we actually spent yesterday texting back and forth just ideas for reworking the abilities, and it may be a little more powerful than it should be, but it's very cool and on flavor, on brand for his character. And I think once he starts getting other cleric spells and stuff, those abilities aren't going to come up nearly as much anyways. It's just at level 1 he's going to have some pretty, well, is it level 1? I think at level 1 he's going to have some pretty nice abilities that help the party survive for longer, and it's cool that he's going to be so supportive and so helpful like that. So I'm happy to hand him some power in lieu of like flavor, right? Or I'm happy to hand him some really cool flavor and power for the betterment of his character story, especially because, I'm going to throw some stuff at him that, level 1 and 2 characters are going to struggle with. I think at level 2, they're going to have 2 encounters in a day while they're traveling that are going to be a little bit tough, and it's going to push the party. And I think what it's going to do is afterwards, when they're talking and trying to get their bearings, like when they realize how hopeless this mission is, it's going to bring them together and tell a really cool story. Something else I'm doing with this one that's different than other campaigns is I'm making an overworld, like a map. So there's a map from Rime of the Frost Maiden. Again, I'm not using the story from Rime of the Frost Maiden. I'm using the premise. I'm not using any of the creatures or anything, but what I am using is some of the maps too. So there's a map that's like basically like a trail up a mountain, and I'm actually zooming that map like out, putting Fog of War on it, and every time they get to a new section of it, I'm going to show them that section, give them options of where they want to go, and they can go and explore all of these areas. It's kind of sandboxy, but kind of not. It's a little bit like, it's a straight path, but if they decided, hey, we're going to climb up the side of this mountain, I would give them a series of skill checks in order to get, like, to skip sections. And I'd be okay with that. I just think I'd probably throw some random encounters at them and stuff instead. But, and I've even made areas, like, where I would kind of, quote unquote, like, load them in, right? I'd click on it. All their tokens would show up there. And they can just explore and get some extra gear. Like, there's a whole section where, if one of my players is listening right now, skip about 30 seconds ahead. Thank you. But I have a whole section where dead adventurers are there. It's just a bunch of frozen bodies, and I want to make it cryptic and seem like a big encounter is going to happen. But really, they're just there, and they can make some investigation checks and stuff, collect some gear, do some work, and take a long rest or something. So I've set up this area where I plan on them going in and thinking that, okay, what's going to happen here? But nothing's actually going to happen, and they're going to be safe. Yeah, so freaking excited for what we've got going on. And here's the hard part is I know where I want the campaign to lead. I'm not even going to say the story premise stuff here. Maybe we'll save that. We'll save that for the post show where I want the story to go. If any of my players are here, do not go listen to the post show. But if you're not from there, go to patreon.com/tabletalkfriday and listen to the post show, because I'm going to give a little bit more insight on the story and everything of the campaign I'm thinking about running. But anyways, session to session, I usually just play off of what happened last session. I don't plan weeks and weeks in advance. I do have an outline, like, hey, here's where I think session 1's going to be, session 2, session 3, session 4. I have where I think those are going to be, but none of it is set in stone, because if the players do something different, I want to be able to just pivot. If they finish one of the sections I have set up for a whole session in an hour, then I want to just be able to go to the next one. So I have an outline ready. I know what I want to do. I'm thinking this 1 to 5 section will be about 15 sessions is my guess. And then we'll go to the 5 to 10, which is going to be a Sword Coast romp, going around and figuring out what the heck is going on in Faerun. So that's the plan for that, getting some more character in that level. And then the 11 to 20, they're going to have a lot on their plate. I have in mind a rough outline of what I want them to do, because it's going to basically to go from them being on the ground, boots on the ground, exploring, kind of figuring out what's going on, to all of a sudden, like, oh my God, we have to save the world, which they've never had to. They've had to stop big conflicts in their campaigns. It's never been world ending though. I don't, it's maybe been, country level, continent level, I would say. It's never been like a world-ending scenario, except for in Spelljammer, where they quite literally rejoined the Forgotten Realms with all of the other realms. And that's a whole story in itself. Go listen to some past episodes if you want to hear about that. But and maybe I'll do a little talk about it at some point. But yeah, so I'm very loosey-goosey. I play around a lot with with new ideas, and I don't mind power because I have a lot of fun designing new encounters anyways, more difficult ones, or like, frankly, if your players are too powerful, you can just bump up the HP a little bit or give some extra legendary actions. Or I've used mechanics before where they have like boss actions where it's like they go twice in a turn because they're a boss. So they go at the beginning and they go at like initiative 20 and they go at initiative 10 or something like that, 5 and 15, something like that. So yeah, I hope this was helpful to some of you guys who spend a lot of time planning and overthinking your sessions. And not everybody can do it the way that I do it. I think I'm the only one in my group that can DM every single week without getting nervous and not prep that much, which is why I end up being the forever DM, because while all of us are amazing, amazing DMs, I've had some of the most fun I've had in D&D playing for the other guys. But I do think a lot of them will experience like a burnout or like oh, I can't do it this week. I'm not in the headspace. And I don't get that for some reason. I don't know why. It's like I can. If I was asked to sit down and just be a DM every day, I think I could do it. Like, if I was sick, I definitely wouldn't be able to do it if I was sick. But if it was my job to sit down and DM, I think I could do it. Which, it's funny because Drew and I were a little bit gung-ho about starting up some sessions on Start Playing. And then I got my new job, and then Drew got really busy with his new job, and we both were like, yeah, we'll do that later. So I still have the account. I've got stuff set up to rerun Storm Kings the way I did it before, but I have not sat down and scheduled a session. But I would love to get a couple games set up on there, make a little bit of money, but more so for just the love of the game if I had free time. Right now, all my free time is taken up by Pokemon Champions. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Only talked about it on every episode the last couple weeks. I hit the top 12,000 in the world this past week. Now, I believe there's 250 to 300,000 people playing ranked right now. And me, or in Master Ball tier, and me, I hit 12,000. Now, I did lose a couple games in a row, and I think I'm down between 20 and 30 again, but I was up there. And I want to get up to the top 10,000 before the season ends, which is in like a week and a half. So I think I can do that. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. I'm sorry the episode is a little bit shorter this week, but I thought I could make up for Drew and I not being able to record yesterday. And next week, Drew and I will definitely be able to make time to record. Like, as far as I'm aware, I don't think we have anything crazy going on. So there should be no reason we don't have a normal, regularly scheduled episode with guests and everything on. So yeah, wish me luck. I hope you got something out of this. And if you did, go on over to patreon.com/tabletalkfriday and listen to the post show, which I'm going to record in just a second. Thanks, guys. Bye.